I need to tell my. I was gonna say I need to tell my grandma about it, but she's.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll tell my grandma for you.
Tell your grandma, yeah.
I got you.
Tell
I got you.
Grandma to start carrying around Werther's
Oh,
soft
yeah, she
ones.
probably got some.
Welcome back to Arsenic Culture. I'm Matt.
And I'm Jason.
And we have a fun experience to get to today with this bottle here and what it's aged in, which I'm really excited about. But before we get into that lightning round, who would win in a fight between Achilles and Odysseus?
Well, I think you would tear your Achilles. So I'm thinking like he might go down quick. You know what I'm saying?
Not the body part. No, the...
But I bet the reason they have Achilles injuries, like it's a weak, I bet that's because he's weak. So I'm going to bet the other guy. I don't remember his name.
You literally, no, I know you're being a smart ass, but you know why they call him Achilles,
No.
right? Do you not
His
really?
heel.
Yeah, exactly right.
I know, come on now.
Okay, so
Who was the other guy?
Odysseus.
Yeah, Odysseus. He's one. I don't know him though.
Okay, so there was Achilles, who was like a renowned fighter.
Okay.
He was like said to basically been invincible in combat. You couldn't hurt him
Except his heel.
except his heel. That's why they call him. That's why they call it the Achilles heel. And then Odysseus was actually went on the voyage in the Odyssey, Homer's The Odyssey, and he was like a renowned kind of, I guess, like leader and strategist or whatever. The answer's pretty easy. Like
It's him, right?
no, it's well, I think it'd be Achilles. Achilles.
Yeah, but if you knew that guy's heel was a weak point, I mean, I'm gonna try to get that heel.
So, and that's a good question because technically speaking, when he was alive, nobody knew that his heel was the weakness. They only found out after.
Well, then I'm gonna change my answer.
Well, you saw Troy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt?
Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I think he played Achilles.
Probably.
Yeah, and like he couldn't get hurt, and then they got him in the heel. He's like, and then he was like out for the count. No, but Odysseus was really a badass. Did you ever read those in like high school or anything?
Eastern Kentucky didn't have those.
I know, that's true. Yeah, those are some fucking fantastic stories.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and
I've
then,
heard of them.
Yeah, and then in Homer, he's the author in the Odyssey. Odysseus went out and he went through like a bunch of trials and stuff like that. He teamed up with like Hercules and shit.
I feel like, I've seen something. Maybe watched some shitty movie about it or something.
There's probably been like
Probably
20...
on TBS, like when I was like 10 years old.
There seriously has to have been at least like 10 movies made about the Odyssey alone.
Well, a lot of them blur over too,
Well, yeah, and they're all kind of similar too. And then they'll take fragments from some of them and like turn them in like spin-offs.
Now, here's what I'm wondering: how you going to tie that into this?
Well, both of those tales were actually those epics were written by Homer, who is a renowned raconteur. Do you know what that is?
I do.
So a raconteur is a person who tells anecdotes in a skillful and amusing way. It's basically a very well-versed storyteller.
So it's like us. Or me. It's also a band. I think Jack White's
It
in that
is
band.
actually. I didn't know it was Jack White.
Raconteurs.
I saw that in
I've
there.
seen them
Is it
once or twice.
Is really Jack White's in it?
Yeah, he's the lead singer. He's a man. That was when.
And also, I assume the guitar player.
Yeah, for sure. He's a front. I think he's a front man in that one. I'm pretty sure I know he sings. I don't know if he sings every song.
I've heard of the band, but I don't know.
They're not bad. Steady as She Goes is their biggest hit.
Oh, that's theirs.
That's
okay.
It sounds like White Stripes, right?
Yeah. So okay, I do know who they are.
I think actually when we saw the White Stripes play in Louisville, I think the Raconteurs opened for the White Stripes. I'm pretty sure that's right. Yeah.
So, and that seems to be pretty common. It's like before this, we were talking about labels. We were talking about this Raconteur Rye label, and Maynard, the lead singer from Tool, who's also in a band called Pussifer, and also in a band called A Perfect Circle.
They were all on a poster
And they were
together.
all in the poster together. And he'll go to venues and they'll play the same band.
You think he gets paid triple since he's...
Honestly, yeah.
You should.
I think he
Right?
does. Well, it's like when I went to Louder Than Life in Louisville 2 years ago, Alice in Chains played. And not Layne Staley.
Cantrell.
Jerry Cantrell played. Just Jerry Cantrell.
Yeah, these guys solo stuff.
Exactly
plus the
right.
band.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, he had to have got paid for both songs. You know what was funny? Is ironic is that Jerry Cantrell played all Alice in Chains songs. not literally,
like
but
solo?
I mean, I think like a lot of that stuff he wrote.
That was probably my favorite band of that era, like that alternative grunge scene. I loved Alice in Chains, man. Love Layne
That
Staley.
is what got me into like heavy music. Like that was the gateway. It was like Alice in Chains got me into I don't know if that came before Metallica, but just like as a kid in middle school.
What's different maybe is a little. I think Facelift might have been a little harder than some Metallica, or different.
Exactly, and Metallica back then was harder.
Oh, for sure. That was after the Black album, right? Though, so then
so the Black album that came out when I started listening to them, and I was like,
that was great.
It was
100%.
amazing. Yeah,
I had the little tape.
Yeah. Oh, do you really? Cassette tape?
I had the Walkman. I'm listening to that.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say skip proof, but it doesn't matter.
No, I did have a Discman.
The Discman's got to be.
It was not very skip proof.
Oh yeah.
You hit a bump in the stool bus and just like skip.
I know.
Shit.
Yeah, you can't call them Walkman anymore. Well, they call them Discman, but yeah, you go anywhere with that thing, and it's like.
Oh man, that's changed a lot. I'm old as shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, I'm literally the same age as you. So, Raconteur Rye though, this is actually a really fun bottle, and you told me about this, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I started looking into it, and this is aged in Mizunara Japanese oak cask, and that is freaking cool. And I'll get into that, but tell us a little bit about this bottle first.
So this one, actually, the Raconteur Rye was a collaboration with David Jennings. He's RareBird 101 on his social media handles.
Yeah.
He is kind of all things wild turkey.
Okay.
Kind of stumbled into it, too. He's been on a podcast of a friend of ours, The Mashup. I actually wore their shirt today.
There you go. Nice.
But Anthony, Kenny, and Steven.
Yeah.
But, one of the things, I don't know exactly how he started, but he started about 2016, and he just started loving Wild Turkey's products.
Okay.
And then everything, like I think now he's like the unofficial Wild Turkey source.
He's like the Wild Turkey go-to.
I'm sure he gets, preferential treatment, which he should. That's great. I mean, but he gets all the reviews and all that, behind the scenes, I'm sure, access and see what's going on. So anyways, a collaboration with him, kind of his label, I guess, with the Woodwork Collective. The Woodwork Collective is, they kind of source barrels is what they'll do. Okay. So the Mizunara that this was used to aged in part of it.
Is that why they call them the Woodwork Collective? Is it because?
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't see that little part.
Okay.
They also offer some of their own single barrel selections. So ryes and bourbons that some of them are finished, some of them are not. And the finish, not necessarily like, finished in brandy barrels or something with flavor. It's more of the oak. So French oak, Mizunara oak, stuff like that. So
yeah.
Sometimes second use, sometimes first. Their price is a little high, but this price wasn't too bad. So MSRP $129.99. This was purchased online at Bourbon Outfitters. I think it was the only place you could get it.
Okay, can I open this?
Oh, absolutely. So this one is a 95.5 rye. Why we say that is the mash bill is pretty much exclusive. I would say maybe not exclusive, but renowned from MGP. Okay. So in Indiana. So 95% rye, 5% malted barley. So that's their mash bill on this one. This is a blend of 3 white rye whiskeys. Each of them are aged at least 7 years old before they go into the blend. So pretty good with that. And then the first barrel is just conventional straight rye, new charred barrel. The second one is a straight rye aged in toasted oak barrels. And then the third one is finished in Mizunara.
Mizunara oak casks.
There you go.
So is multiple barrel aged.
3s. So it took 3 different ones and blended them together. They talked about this one. This released in May, and honestly, I think the new version, batch 2, is coming out soon. I think some people have actually got, I think the Mashup actually got a bottle of batch 2. I don't know if they reviewed it yet. I don't think they have.
Well, it's kind of funny because they only put the Mizunara on the label, but what I've learned is that's highfalutin.
It's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge when you hear that. Very hard to get. Very hard to get. About the label, though, what we're talking about concerts kind of got us off subject a little bit, but this label actually comes from, let me find it again. It was Valhalla Studios in Kansas City. Okay. So this is a vintage printing press from 1957 that they used to make this design. 19th century design printed on a 1957.
That's cool. So the actual printing press is an old school ass printing press.
Hell yeah. And you feel it. I mean, it's like raised, like it's very nice. I'm sure it wasn't cheap, but we looked online too and saw some of the concert posters they've done. So if you've been to a concert and see those nice limited edition posters, these guys do a lot of those.
It's got a very old school feel to it. Like I feel like these labels could be sold on the street corner in the 1910s by like a little orphan boy.
They were in New York.
Yelling like extra. Yeah, exactly. Right.
The dude looks like the
He
gang,
actually
the
looks
gang
like,
in New York, the main character in that movie. Whatever.
Daniel Day-Lewis, right?
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know what, Bill, something Bill, maybe Butcher Bill.
Yeah, it's like something like that.
Yeah.
He's got the handlebar mustache and then the top hat. Yeah,
I feel like we should have wore top hats.
let's get some top hats and we'll put those on a future episode. Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, very excited to try this one. I did have a sample when it first came out, just a little pour.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it then, but I'm actually excited to take a bigger pour and try it here.
We're not going to get to.
I will once you open it. I'm sort of licking my lips.
I'm going to try to
choke.
So we got these mics.
Yeah.
These
You got
lavaliers.
green, I got blue.
I'm going to see if I can pop this in the lavalier. You ready?
Oh, that's good.
We'll see if that registers when we actually do it. Yeah.
So yeah, if you like the design on this one, I mean, I would check out their website, or they're on Instagram, that Valhalla Studios. Some of the concert posters they had pretty cool. They had 311, Foo Fighters. What are the other ones we saw? We saw
the
Flaming Lips, Pussifer.
Yeah.
That's some pretty nice ones there.
Yeah.
So as we're drinking this one, Matt, what are some? Tell us about this Mizunara barrel.
So the Mizunara barrel is also known as Japanese oak, native to Japan.
Okay.
I don't know if Japan's the only place you can get it. I'm going to assume so. But from everything that I've seen, it's a very rare type of wood.
From what I could tell in that too, it's like distributed in Northeast Asia. So, but Japan is where it's, I guess, concentrated at.
Yeah,
that's the way it sounded.
The type
like.
of wood, yeah. It's the wood is native to Hokkaido, which is, I guess, Japan's northernmost prefecture. Okay. I'm sorry. The casks started to come into prominence shortly after World War II because after the war, Japan was struggling with supply of a lot of things because everything went towards the war effort. But they had a lot of expatriates living in the country that were stationed there after the war, and a lot of them wanted to fucking get drunk. So they were drinking a lot of whiskey. So Japan ran into the problem of they needed to produce a lot of whiskey to satisfy demand, but they didn't have any more American oak or French oak or anything in order to age it in. So
had to find something
they
else.
had to find something else. So they inevitably defaulted to Mizunara wood.
It looks, what I was reading too was saying it is one of the main tree species in Japan.
Yeah.
Along with beech. They said beechwood.
Beechwood, which is what Anheuser-Busch is aged on.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Do you know anything about beechwood?
Not a clue.
Beechwood.
Is it on the beach? You found it on the beach?
Yeah, and it's spelled Beech.
Oh, my bad.
But beechwood does not, from what I understand, does not impart any flavor. It is it works in a way that it's like a filter.
This is beechwood.
Yeah, we're talking about beechwood now. Okay. Sorry, yeah.
That's all right.
Beechwood is basically a filter. It's not like a good aging agent. You know what I mean?
I wonder why Anheuser-Busch says that.
They market the hell out of it, but from what I understand, beechwood is good for clearing out the product.
Okay.
So to make it, like a clear
consistent
beer.
Clear.
Exactly right. Yeah. So it's like beechwood aged, and you're like, oh, that sounds fancy. It's like, oh yeah, it's just like a clarifying agent.
Growing up, I feel like they used to actually key on that a lot, and I've not heard that.
Hard.
I've not heard that in ads. I've not even seen the Budweiser ad in forever.
No, I think people started to learn what it actually did, and it was like it was just a gimmick. So they ended up pulling it. But
I guess they're just trying to get Kid Rock back on their side.
you got to make that guy happy, right? But Mizunara wood is notoriously hard to work with. First of all, when you're trying to make casks out of it, you got to wait for the trees to grow at least 200 years.
It seems short.
I know, right? Yeah, it's just like my great-great-grandpa will do it. That's fine. The trees themselves are like super crooked and knotty.
Okay.
So it's not like lots of just like straight grain.
So envision like a bonsai tree, just big. So it kind of.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen a picture of one. But.
Exactly right. And you know what's really stupid is I did all this research and I didn't actually look up a picture.
I'll look up a picture while you're doing it.
Look up a picture when
I got you.
You said bonsai and I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. And then I'm like, why don't I even know if that's right or not? But yeah, apparently it's hard to get like straight staves out of it. It's also high in water content.
Yeah, that's exactly what it would look like, I would think.
Yeah, and that's like a huge bonsai tree. That's badass.
Different leaves, but same theory, yeah.
Yeah, and then
it's a fairy tale, like kind of looking. It looks pretty
exactly,
cool.
very idyllic.
That's right. That's right.
Idyllic. But it's high in water content, so it's got to dry for at least 3 years
Damn.
Yeah, that's on top of the 200
So you got to have
years.
a 200-year-old tree. You got to cut it down. It's a bitch to cut down because all knotty.
We'll get into that. You can't even cut it down.
Then you got to dry it for 3 years.
Then you got to dry it for 3 years on top of that. Yeah. But because of that, it's got to dry so long that the staves end up being like super tough and not pliable. So it's hard to shape them into like the cask shape or the barrel shape, you know?
Well, I did look it up too, and I saw that it actually translates the name Mizunara to water oak, which makes sense. There's probably a high water content. So
Exactly right. Yeah, it is very porous. So that has got, there's multiple facets of that. Because it's so porous, a lot of the liquid in the whiskey will soak into the wood, so you'll get a whole lot of oakiness from it. You can, but if you don't age it properly, like if you go too long, for example, then it's just going to be like licking a tree. So you have to be. Apparently it's tough to actually work with when you age. You have to be very careful.
As you were saying that too, I was looking back through here to see if I could tell how long this was aged in Mizunara. I don't know that, but what it says, this was a second fill Mizunara oak cask.
Okay.
So it had held 16-year-old Kentucky bourbon.
Gotcha.
Then it went to this. Now, I don't know if that bourbon was aged 16 years in that one barrel or it was aged in a bourbon barrel and then finished in that one. You know, you don't know that.
That's a good point too. And I guess they don't have to tell you.
I'm trying to think. I don't know that I've seen a truly just any product aged only in Mizunara barrels. Like I've seen it finished. You know what I mean with bourbon and stuff?
Right.
And you have anything on your list? I'm trying to think.
I got a few here on the bottom.
Okay.
And I think they're all finished too.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah, because
I think you're right.
I'm just thinking like, the
Have you had anything Mizunara prior to this?
I don't know. I feel like I maybe had like a Japanese whiskey that was Mizunara.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe
Japanese
like a
whiskey's popular. A lot of
Scotch
Scotch is aged in Mizunara.
Okay, no, I'm not a big Scotch guy.
Yeah, I know. We need to do a Scotch.
We should try it.
Yeah. But this is where it gets even more fun. The casks or the logging is highly regulated because legally you can't cut down a Mizunara oak tree.
Okay.
I guess there's so few of them that it's regulated to the point to where you can only use trees that have fallen over naturally. So it's like,
you know what's happening, right? Like there's some guy going out there, Jim or Bubba, going out at night.
Pushing it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
He's just like rocking the tree back and forth.
They're going to tie a chain from their truck bumper to the tree and pull that shit up.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, officer. It just fell. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure they got Toyota Tacomas over there or Tundras over there.
They're Chevy. They're driving Chevy. Jimbo and Bubba's driving Chevy.
Yeah, they're like, Toyota, that sucks. No, we're all American here. They got like Ford stickers on there, like a kid pissing on a Chevy logo.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Pissing on Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. So you can't cut down a Mizunara tree. You have to let it fall naturally. So
I guess at 200 years old, though, it's probably going. It's probably going to topple
at some point, right?
Yeah, right.
And they have forests of these things.
Okay.
But once they fall over, they're collected. I'm assuming by like a government entity, and then that collection is brought to auction. You have to buy Mizunara wood or logs from an auction.
Wow.
And not only that, this is the only Mizunara wood available. So cooperages are competing against woodworkers, people making furniture, anybody else that wants that wood for any other purpose. Like you have to buy it out from them.
It's pretty rare.
Well, and exactly right. So that just goes up and up and up in price. So they end up being really expensive. How many Mizunara casks do you think are made, considering like cooperages today? American oak, French oak.
So a year.
How many Mizunara barrels do you think are manufactured each year? Yeah.
Gosh, depending on how rare that was with the age, I'm going to say 100.
Pretty close.
Okay.
200 barrels.
All right.
200 barrels total in a year.
I mean, that's very low.
That's extremely low. You imagine some of these cooperages are probably pumping out like tens of thousands.
I was thinking, I wonder how many they make in a year or in a day, like at one, maybe I think Jim Beam or Jack Daniels has their own cooperage.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's got to, I mean, in a day they have to put out like a few hundred, right?
I would think at least 50. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many people they got working there.
As big as they are. Well, yeah, I guess the cooperage isn't as big as the distillery. Yeah.
True.
But yeah, I mean, they have to be pumping out massive. They're doing out 200 Mizunara oak casks an entire year.
Damn.
So that leads to a lot of its rarity. But on top of that, Mizunara has the lowest tannin of any oak species in existence. And it is richer in the vanilla flavor compound. So it gives it that really rich kind of vanilla umami that a lot of people love in their whiskey. And it's not tannic. So it doesn't give that really bad bitter quality.
Yeah. I mean, so nose of this one, what are you getting on the nose? Anything different than like this is a rye, so.
Right off the bat, like I'm getting some smooth spice on there.
Yeah, I agree. Like you put it in a category baking spice, and then I get almost like a.
It's like sweeter than a baking spice.
Yeah,
though.
I get like vanilla with that.
Yeah.
It's like something maybe like a vanilla beans have been sitting in sugar or something like that. You know what I mean? Just something
almost
more
like
aromatic.
a spicy vanilla bean, not spicy hot, but like a spicy
Mexican
potent.
vanilla.
Like oh yeah, there is like a Mexican vanilla bean.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
There really is.
I promise there is. Yeah, there has to be, right? There has to be.
Those Mexican vanilla beans like tahini within there.
Yeah, I rim my micheladas in them all the time,
for sure,
right?
for
Yeah,
sure.
It's the same thing.
I don't know if I've told this story on here, but maybe I did. But my wife, if I told this about the sugar I had at home, had vanilla in it.
I don't know. Tell it again.
So when we were first married, I bought some sugar and I bought these vanilla beans. I cook a lot. I enjoy to cook. So I had vanilla beans that I'd bought from like Whole Foods or somewhere, and I'd put those in this sugar to give it vanilla flavor.
Yeah.
But the problem with doing that, it takes a long time to get it in there. So I probably had this thing sitting up in the cabinet for maybe 3 or 4 months. I come back home, I'm like, going to try it out, see how it is. It's gone. And I'm like, what the hell happened to my sugar? What that vanilla, in there?
Right.
Angie's like, what do you mean, the sugar in the cabinet? I'm like, yeah. She goes, I made a cake with that. I'm like, damn. What?
You'd be like, was it good?
I was like tore all the. I got the Elo piece.
Did you?
Still,
I was hoping you got to actually try the cake.
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, damn, man, I was really trying on that.
Wait, so what kind of cake did she make?
I think it was just like vanilla, just some bullshit.
Well, at least it was vanilla cake.
Love you, Angie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's not watching. It doesn't matter.
No, she's definitely not.
What's interesting? So we talk about some of that sweet spice on there.
A lot.
Some of the notes you get from Mizunara are.
You said the vanilla, right?
Is the vanilla, the sandalwood, the tonka bean, which is a cousin to the vanilla bean, and Chiara incense. And I found this fascinating.
What's that?
Chiara incense is it's an incense made from another super rare type of wood called aloes wood. I've never smelled it. Now I want to. But I looked online and I saw incense sticks as cheap as, I think it was a small package. It wasn't one, but it was like a small package of a few for like $56. And I saw it as high as like $300.
I was going to say the incense sticks I remember buying in college were like, I don't know, 10 cents a piece.
Right, yeah, exactly. They
Botany Bay or something.
They fucking line them up all inside Botany Bay. Like, they're obviously not expensive.
It's like, oh shit. It's
so you can't even see just like a haze. Yeah. Could you imagine a $300 incense stick?
No, but I'd like to smell it.
I never fucking liked it.
I mean, I bet it smells good. The other one's like artificial, almost
exactly.
like cheap cologne.
It's like Dracar Noir.
That's right.
I want to know what that
Old
smells like
Spice.
now.
Oh, I do. I'd love to smell that actually.
Yeah. But this one, I'm getting like a lot of sweet spice on there. How you liking it?
I dig it. I mean, it's 100. What's the proof on this one? I should have wrote that down. I think it's 112. 120.
60.2, yes. It's
120.48.
It's a lot easier than 120.
100%.
Yeah.
We let it open up a little bit too. So we poured it there and probably let it sit for 5 minutes, maybe 10 before we took a sip.
Yeah.
Looking at that drink's under that, still very flavorful. Usually if you look at a lower proof bourbon or rye, it takes away some of that flavor, it dilutes it, right? But not this one. I mean, it's barrel proof, very nice.
This is
I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I mean,
there's a lot too.
I think the flavor, tasting it too, I'm still getting some vanilla, still getting the bacon spice, maybe a little like butterscotch, like a little
I could see that.
caramel, something in there, but
like
not,
a toffee
but not a
kind of,
but not a typical caramel you'd get from a bourbon,
Yeah,
that's
like
tasty.
like a Werther's, but like one of the soft ones.
That's right. There you go.
The soft
yeah,
Werther's.
yeah.
You ever had the soft
I have.
Werther's?
I think
fucking
maybe
love those.
those are squares.
I
don't think they're in circles.
They're like cylindrical.
Okay, maybe I've had those.
Like-
Yes, I've had those.
You have to unwrap them like a Tootsie Roll. Exactly right.
That's right. Yeah. Now we're on the same page.
We're on the same page. Those are my favorite Werther's. I need to tell my grandma about it, but she's dead.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll tell my grandma for you.
Tell your grandma,
Yeah, I got you.
Tell your
I got you.
grandma to start carrying around Werther's
Hell
soft
yeah,
ones.
she probably got some.
I bet she's got some.
Those
yeah.
are the peppermints. Those big ass peppermints.
Yeah, and sucrettes.
Gotta have those.
Fucking sucrettes in the
whatever.
candy in the candy jar. Yeah, this is actually really good. I was a little skeptical going into it. Even like Mizunara aside, this is actually a really well crafted beverage. I enjoy this a lot.
It is. I mean, looking at the release on this one too. So it made 520 bottles.
Yeah.
Looking at that, so each barrel of 53 gallons, if you're looking at it that way, I would say 2 to 250 bottles per barrel.
Right.
They did a 3-barrel blend, with rye, so they had some left over, evidently. When hearing him talk,
Okay.
I don't know if I heard him on another interview or on Anthony and Kenny's show and Steven's show, but he was talking about they had enough to already do a second batch, right?
Great,
so,
yeah.
and now they do. So just coming out pretty soon. I'm gonna try to get that second bottle as well.
I'd like to.
I think like after shipping, so bourbon,
what was the retail on this?
$129.99, but the place you could get it is so. Everything's at least 7 years old. So say a 7-year-old rye, triple finished, right?
Yeah.
Well, double finished, with Mizunara, barrel strength.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's fairish. I would say a more fair MSRP would be about $90,
right?
$100. So say it's $30 overpriced, but when you throw in shipping and everything, this one cost about $157. Shipped to your house.
120, I'd already say that I'm all in. 150 is pushing it.
It is.
Knowing that it's being shipped and knowing that if it was retail, it's normally 120. I mean, honestly, I think I'm still in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go for batch 2. I'm going to try to get one of those when they come out. I don't know about secondary on this one. Looking online, I think the people that bought this one honestly have drinking them, like keeping them, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And David Jennings, RareBird,
right?
Yeah, right. So he has a Patreon, and in his Patreon, you can join it for free, or there's levels to it. And I'm assuming he offered some bottles up for them too.
Okay.
So all those people are keeping them. They're not trying to flip them.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
and I actually joined the other day, so I think there's like 800 members. It's pretty solid.
Okay.
But anyway, I mean, I would say at least try this one if you can. I doubt you'll find a pour of it anywhere, but I would buy it at that price.
This is a definite buy for me.
And the label, that's a great on your shelf too.
And you got a label by the same people that make labels for Pussifer. How can you argue with with?
It should be
Pussifer?
a tagline.
We make labels for Pussifer. You got anything else? This is really good. I appreciate you bringing this over, man. For more Arsenic Culture, you can check us out on all the socials at arsenicculture.com, and we will see you on the next one.